On today's show, we have a creative woman who has taken the pleasures of window shopping into a successful online business.
My name is Jacqueline Stein-Elman, and I'm the Vice President of Creative and Communications for Beyond the Rack. I'm passionate about making a difference.
Jacqueline, thank you so much for being on the couch today.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
The pleasure is all mine, definitely. I remember when I met you at the Notable Awards, and when you told me that you were the VP at Beyond the Rack, I was so excited. I was so excited because I had just placed many orders.
Me too.
Many orders and bought all these shoes, and it was my first time. To be honest, I'm a little behind the trend of shopping online, just because I was always worried that what I saw is not what I would get.
Right.
But I placed the order and I received my shoes, and I love all of them.
And shoes are one of the harder things because usually you have to try them on. Sometimes you could be an 8 in one brand, but an 8.5 in another.
Right.
So I'm delighted that they fit, but there's so many other things that you can buy on our site, and you don't even have to worry about sizing.
Yes.
Some,
Okay.
like, beautiful handbags.
Handbags. Like I said, I'm looking for a leather jacket, so I would like to go back on the site and look for that, especially in the fall. Right?
Oh yeah, but we'll start showing fall probably by the end of June.
Okay.
We kind of do transitions, and we always have something to offer for the season, but in retail, you're always looking ahead as well. So 100% we will have leather jackets, and I am sure you will find one.
Right. Well, what's great about Beyond the Rack is that there's always new stuff being added and new deals and
Exactly.
killer prices.
So because we're flash sales, so the business model is basically the sale is on the site for 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
And it's limited quantities, limited time, but at a great discount. And then it's always something fresh and always something new. But of course, as the business evolves, there's certain brands that people want to see or certain commodities that people want to see. So they're going to be there almost all the time, especially with the home business, actually.
Oh, really? Okay. And so this is called a flash sale.
Flash sales.
Okay.
Here,
And how many?
Here now, gone later. We're going
So
quickly.
buy it now while you can.
Yeah, pretty much.
And how many people work behind the machine of this website?
We're about 350 people, and
Wow.
we have our head office is here in Montreal, but we have an office in Toronto. We have a buying office in New York. We have a warehouse in Las Vegas. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So it's big.
Yeah,
And how long has the website been around?
6.5 years.
6.5 years. Okay. So how did you end up being the VP of such a fabulous website?
You know what? I'm very lucky in that I had the opportunity. I was introduced to the company, and the first position that I had there was the creative director. And they actually created the position for me. There wasn't one that I was going in to interview for.
Right.
And about
Your
10 months.
CV must have been fabulous. It must have been really
It's not so
impressive.
bad. So about 10 months later, I got promoted to Senior Director of Creative and Production.
Okay.
So I took over another whole department. Actually, it was like 3 different departments that are considered production. So I had about 50 people under me. And then probably about a year and a half after that, I was promoted to VP.
Okay.
And then we just actually went through some restructuring at the beginning of March. And I now look after a good portion of merchandising in addition to the creative and the styling. So, you know, everything that you see on the banners, which are what I call our windows for the sales, right? So like just like you were window shopping on the street, you know, those banners are enticing you to come into the store, right? So all of that I'm responsible for, as well as coordinating all of the events and the orders that they go in and what goes on what day. I work with the merchandising team to create the themes for the day, that kind of thing.
Do you get a say on which items you sell on the website?
Well, that's actually the buyers that I have about 11, not I, we have about 11 category buyers. So
Okay.
whether it's junior fashion, footwear, accessories. And so they're sourcing, and it's more once they've created their events where they get placed on the site and, what order and what's featured
Right.
on that window.
Okay. Okay, cool. But how did you ended up there? I mean, I know that they created this position for you and you had an impressive CV or resume, I should say. But this is not what you studied. This is not where your career started.
No. My undergrad was in classical studies.
Classical
I
studies.
studied
Wow.
ancient Greece and Rome.
Oh my God.
And I loved history. I've always loved history. And I actually wrote my LSAT to keep some doors open because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I ended up scoring really high, and I was pre-accepted to U of T Law.
Wow.
So I went to law school, became a lawyer.
Okay.
And I realized, probably law school was the first time that I didn't love school.
Okay.
But everyone kept saying, when you get out and you're practicing, it's different. Give it a chance. And I did. But I wasn't passionate about it. I didn't love what I was doing every day, and I felt like I was too young to live for the weekends. I wanted
Okay.
to love what I was doing every day.
Right.
So then I kind of pursued a dream, which was to go to culinary school, and I moved to Arizona. And
From history to law school to culinary school.
listen, my name is Jacqueline, but you can call me the Jack of all trades.
Yes, definitely.
Right? So I did that, and I got a degree in culinary arts and restaurant management, and I ended up working at the Arizona Biltmore, which is a beautiful resort in
Okay.
Phoenix. And I started off doing catering and conference services, so
Okay.
event planning for them. And I was asked to go and interview for the spa sales and marketing position.
Okay.
It was back in the late 90s when the whole spa industry was exploding, and they didn't
Right.
have people like from within the actual spa industry to take those positions.
Okay.
But I was kind of like, well, I just went back to school for this, but I'll go to the interview, which I did, and I ended up loving the spa director. And on a whim, I said, okay, I'm going to do it.
On a whim.
On a whim. And so I took the position, and I was in that position for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Could pretty much do it with my eyes shut by the end.
Really?
And then what happened was the resort went through a corporate takeover. So
Okay.
the way they structured the deal, they terminated everyone's employment, and you had to be rehired for your position.
Okay.
But I was on a work visa. So when they did that, it terminated my work visa. So then I was like, what else do I want to do? And I ended up moving to Vancouver, and I went back to law for a little bit because I wasn't sure what I wanted.
Okay.
And
Like practicing law.
I was
Okay.
in-house counsel for a brokerage firm.
my
I know, it's crazy. And then I met my husband, and I moved here for him. So
Okay.
that's about 12 years ago. And when I first moved here, I sent my CV to a bunch of different places. And one was a skincare company called B. Cayman's. They're a Montreal company as well. And
Okay.
they sold to all the spas. So when they saw all my experience at the spa in
perfect.
Arizona, they hired me. And I was first hired as director of sales and training.
Okay.
Then I took over business development, and then I took over marketing.
My God, you're always being promoted.
I know.
Well,
So
you know,
what
when
it is,
you're a jack of all trades, you're not supposed to be master of everything.
no, but what you have to be is open to
Yes.
trying, and I think that's what it was. Like I was always like, oh, something new, let me try it. I don't know. I'm not scared of the change or the
Right.
challenge, and I'm kind of a workhorse. You'll ask my husband; he's not always happy about that. But I'd like to be busy, and I like it to be fast paced. So if something new is thrown at me, I look at it as an adventure. I don't look at it as like, oh, that's not my job. Like,
Right.
I don't want to stay within the box.
Okay.
So then I moved on to a company. It was a really good opportunity at the time to be director of marketing for. It was a new shapewear brand that was coming out, and but it didn't take off the way that they had anticipated, which is
Okay.
then what led me to start looking for this opportunity, and how I ended up at Beyond the Rack.
Okay, I
So,
see.
yeah. So,
So
it's
a
6
lot
years
of-
there, 3 years there, now like almost 3 years at Beyond the Rack.
Okay, there's a lot of different paths that were taken.
That's it. And, I would say.
I feel like that's a common thing with all the successful women I've interviewed here. None of them took a straight line to where they are now. And half the time they didn't even know that they would end up there. It wasn't even something they were looking for. They kind of had an idea of what they enjoyed doing. And in that pursuit, tried different things and found not just success in terms of financial success, but a certain freedom, a freedom with their schedule, with following something that they love doing.
Well, I wouldn't quite say I have freedom. Only because, I mean, my day starts at 5. I've got 2 kids. Like,
Right,
I'm always
there's a lot
going.
going
But what it did do was, allow me to see what I like doing. So each one of those opportunities, I learned something more about myself, what I enjoyed, and what I'd like to be doing.
Okay.
And like what I was saying before when I first left law, which is that I want to be passionate about what I do. We spend so much of our time working that, if you're unhappy, 5 days a week, most of the time.
What's the point?
Right?
Yes.
Like life's
Life
a journey.
is short.
Yeah, and you got to enjoy the ride.
Right.
So,
Has there been, throughout this journey, has there been any mistakes or regrets that you would do differently if you could go back?
career-wise, I can't say that there's anything that I regret because whether or not I liked something or didn't like something,
Okay.
I've always learned something. I've always broadened my skill set. So there's certain jobs I wouldn't go back to.
Okay.
Like, do I regret law? Never, because it taught me how to think and approach a problem and problem solving even.
Right.
So for me, I would never go back to it, but I don't consider it a regret. I consider it,
A lesson.
a stepping stone.
Right. Okay. And what advice would you give to women perhaps trying to figure out what their passion is?
I would say, first of all, your passions change over time.
Okay.
So, what you're passionate about when you're 20 is not necessarily the same at 30 or 40. And you have a long career ahead of you if you are a professional woman. That, for me, you might think this is what you want, but if something else comes along, don't be like closed-minded and not look at an opportunity, or don't be afraid to try something new, because when you try something new,
Right.
then you learn more things about yourself. And
And you never know. You never know where it's going to lead you.
exactly. Listen, if you had told me this is what I'd be doing, I didn't do anything in school or anything else to direct me to this position. But what I've always done is I've also always voiced to the people that I've worked for, I think I can do more. I'd like to try
Right.
something. Like, if you have more, like, send it my way.
Right. That
And
explains why you've been promoted so many times.
I keep asking for it.
Well, how is it being the only female VP there?
It's interesting. I think that it's really important. You need a woman's voice, especially it's a fashion company.
Right.
So sometimes I sit in the
It's true.
meetings and I listen to some of the jokes and I'm like, oh boy, But I have like a really easy personality in the sense that, like, I don't get offended by things. I'm very direct, so
Okay.
I can relate well to the men in that sense. Like, I'm not. And I don't go in for any of the cattiness or the women.
Right, okay.
I just, like, I feel like I'm.
You're just yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you feel that, because some women who are higher up, CEO, VP, sometimes they feel the pressure to be more like the men. Do you see any of that?
No, I feel it's like my place to, like, put them in their place. No, I'm kidding. But to basically, I think that it's so important that they hear a woman's voice, because sometimes what they think is not going to be, for me, the same at all. So I think it's really good to be a sounding board,
Right.
and I don't feel pressure. I'm very happy.
Okay.
I don't feel like I need to fit in that sense.
Okay, perfect. And what about balancing such a high position with having 2 beautiful kids?
That's challenging.
It's more challenging than dealing with all the men.
It's true. It's true. The balance, you know what? And you hear people saying, like, oh, they have it all and they've got the job and this. But I always feel, unfortunately, that, like, I can't give 100% to everything. But what I can do is try my best.
Right.
But I always feel like I could spend more time doing this, and I could spend time, like more time with my kids or my husband. And then there's the dog. She wants to, I come home and she's the first one who wants to greet me, and the kids are like, no, she's mine, right? So like it is a bit of a juggling act. But I think it's so important for my kids to see that a woman can succeed, both for my daughter as a role model, but also for my son, for how he views women and how he'll relate to them when he has relationships.
Right. They say that boys end up looking for someone who's similar to their mother when it's time for them to get married or to start dating. Do you think that's true?
Well, it's funny. Okay, so my mother-in-law, I'm so blessed. I have the most wonderful mother-in-law, and she was a professional woman, self-made woman, really strong personality, and in some ways, I'm like her, but we're very different. But my husband is so much like his mother.
Okay.
But I could see how, he always said to me when we first met that like he only ever wanted to date a professional woman. He didn't want to have a stay-at-home mom as his wife. He wanted that intellectual challenge and all of that. And so he may have gotten a little bit more of that than he wanted, but
be careful what you ask
exactly,
for.
that's what they say, right?
That's
So
very
true.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the couch today, and thank you for all the advice. And I think it's great advice. People shouldn't be narrow-minded. When you're trying to figure out what you want out of life, you have to be open to things coming your way.
People and opportunities.
That's true. People and opportunities, because you just never know.
It's so true.
Right? Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And thank you to you guys for joining us on another episode of Couch Talk. And we shall see you on the couch again for the next episode. Stay tuned.